Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome on the Culture News. My name is David Serero, and I have the pleasure to have today on iHeartRadio one of the greatest conductor musicians of all time. This is, of course, the wonderful Mr. Scott Yoo. He is an American conductor, a violinist. He was appointed chief conductor and artistic director of the Mexico City Philharmonic Orchestra in 2016. And he now hosts this wonderful new TV series by PBS. Congrats again to PBS. Really, these guys are doing amazing work. And this TV series is called Now Hear This. And guess what? We are going to talk about that, and we are going to hear the wonderful Scott Yoo. Mr. Scott, how are you today?
Good morning, David. How are you? It's a pleasure and an honor to be on. How are you?
Oh, listen, the honor is all mine. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I know your schedule is probably busier than than the minister of, the president. So I really appreciate that you're taking some of your time. It really means a lot. I apologize for the early call because I'm in Paris
No,
for this
sure.
next month. So this is what it is, and I have the studio in the afternoon. Sorry about the early wake-up calls.
No problem.
But I know conductors, they're always the first one awake. So first, I would love to know about yourself, if you don't mind. Would you be so kind to tell me where you're from, which city you're from, and what brought you to music in the first place?
That's a really nice question. I'm from the United States. My mother's Japanese. My father is Korean. He passed a few years ago. They met in the United States. They had me, and my mother really loved music always. She heard a young Japanese violinist when she was in high school, and she said, "Wow, that's a really beautiful instrument." And my father loved music, especially violin and piano, and so they had me start on an instrument. And I was quite advanced for my age, and so I got to do a lot of interesting things when I was younger. And when I was 12 years old, I played a concerto with the Boston Symphony, which was really a thrill. And just things kind of went from there. And I got involved in TV because just by accident, I was giving a concert and talking about actually Brahms, and somebody in the audience was a PBS producer. And so after the concert, he said, I really enjoyed what you said about Brahms. Let's make a TV show together. And then probably a year later, maybe a little less than a year later, we were shooting the pilot in Milan, which was on Vivaldi. So it all went really fast, and it was very exciting.
Wow, and thank you for sharing this. And there is what your parents, first of all, or my condolences for your father, may he rest in peace. And what your parents were telling you when you decided to play music, and especially to be a conductor.
Ah, well, when they found out I was going to be a violinist, they were really trying to talk me out of that. They thought that is a
Usually in France, mothers are like crying, please, my son, go to study an instrument. I pay all the lessons, I work day and night. But you, it was the opposite.
Well, yeah, they were saying you should really become a doctor, or maybe go to work as a banker, or do something that would, make a
Wow.
paycheck. And, uh, the truth was that when I was 22, 23, 24, I wasn't making very much money at all. And it was pretty difficult. But, you know, um, I don't know. There are lots of great ways to live life. I mean, you grew up in Morocco, and you had a really interesting background, and you ended up going into music, and you have a full life. I'm sure that if you had become a writer or become a lawyer or a doctor, you would have had a full life that way too. I think
Yeah.
there are many good ways of growing up and living your life, and this is just one of them.
Wow, it is so inspiring and so beautiful what you're saying. So I invite really everyone to go check you out. First of all, your website is Scott SCOTT, then the line in the middle, UYOO.com, to know more about you as they are listening to this interview and really watch you playing. And there is one thing, and I hope you don't take it as an offense. When I really want to see someone, if he or she is really feeling the music, I watch a video of them and I mute the sound. You know what I mean? And and I did it with you, and man, I've never seen someone who is living the music more than you do, who is breathing the music. It's almost like you
Well,
are inhaling the music, and I'm pretty sure that violin was no offense to violinists, of course, but that violin became too small for you to content all your energy. Is that what brought you to become a conductor at some point? Like, what made you go from okay, I need to dabble, we call it, I think, to go from one instrument to another one, because conducting is it can be a little bit I remember when I had a lot of classical musicians, and they were like, oh no, I want to be now a conductor. People were like, oh, excuse me, so how did it feel for you, and what was that desire inside of you to be, oh, I just don't want to be a violinist, I want to be a conductor? And I'm sure that the fact that you became a conductor made you a better violinist, and the fact you're a violinist made you a better conductor. What was your story about that?
well, this is spoken by an opera singer, so that's very kind of you. Um,
Yes, great, thank you.
I would say this. You know, uh, when I was 18, I was supposed to play a concerto, a Bach concerto with Pinchas Zuckerman conducting, and I was so excited because he was an idol of mine. He still is. And when we got to the rehearsal, he said, "Oh, you don't need a conductor for this. You conduct." And I was so disappointed because I desperately wanted to have his name on my resume, and I was sad. And so anyway, we started, and at one point I wanted the orchestra to play a little softer, so I just bent my knees a little bit, and the orchestra just vanished. And I thought, oh my God, they're incredible. I mean, this is what an incredible feeling to to move your body, and for the sound to completely change, just evaporate. And I thought, I better really, you know, check this out. And so anyway, that was the very beginning. What you said about conducting and violin, I think that it's really it's very helpful to play an instrument when you want to be a conductor, just because the violin is helpful because then how about 50 people in front of you, what they are going through, how they're suffering, and so how to help them. I don't play the flute, I don't play the French horn, but I can play a stringed instrument, so I know what the problems are. And certainly, to conduct Brahms or to conduct Mahler or to conduct Mozart or Beethoven, it's really nice to have played his their chamber music and their violin pieces. I've Before I conducted any Beethoven symphony, I had played many of his string quartets. I had played most of his violin sonatas. I played his violin concerto, so I knew kind of the language of Beethoven, and I think that's helpful.
And it is definitely, and I cannot imagine how violinists they must be, when they are playing in front of you. when you are conducting them, because they must be like, well, wait, we cannot BS that guy. He knows about our instrument. So that must be interesting. So it would take days to say all the great things that you have done. I would just say some big highlights: that at age 26, you became the assistant conductor at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. You conducted the San Francisco Symphony, the Colorado Symphony, the Indianapolis Symphony, the Utah, the New World Symphony. A lot of great things. The London Sinfonia, the Orchestre Philharmonique de Radio France, which I know very, very, very good orchestra. And I would say also the Estonian National Symphony Orchestra, amazing musicians in Estonia, and also in Tokyo and in Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra. And you did one thing which I so applaud you for, that is that you founded in Medellin, depends how you want to say it, in Colombia. You founded the Medellin Festicamara Festival, which brings underprivileged musicians and international artists together. That I love you so much for doing that. This is so much without I don't mean to do a joke with your last name, but this is so much your artistry. You have that generosity in you when you play. You're giving to everyone. What I would say influenced you and inspired you to create that desire of giving back and help others?
You're very kind, David. That was a complete accident. I had gone to Colombia for the first time to conduct at the Cartagena Music Festival. There was an orchestra there called the City of London Sinfonia, and they needed somebody to conduct them at the festival. I was free. I was very lucky to have been free and to have been asked. And anyway, at that festival, I ended up volunteering to teach about, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 kids, maybe 15 minutes each, just, give them some music lessons. They were all floating around at the festival and just observing. And they asked me to conduct their youth orchestra, just come once and conduct the youth orchestra. And one of the musicians, who was a young girl, she fainted during the rehearsal, and I didn't understand what happened, but they said that it was very common because these kids mostly only ate lunch at school, and then everything else, every other meal, they didn't eat. And so I was shocked. I had never experienced something like that. So I told them, I would volunteer and just do a little bit of work with them. And what they asked me to do was to start a festival where the kids could play with professionals. The kids in the program could play with professional musicians. So, I told them, we probably have to have a lot of professional musicians there, and not so many kids, because the kids they're not that sophisticated yet. And so we played the Mendelssohn Octet, for example, and there were 6 professional musicians playing and only two kids. And 2 kids would play the first movement, 2 kids would play the second movement, 2 kids would play the third movement, 2 kids would play the fourth movement. So, 8 children got to experience that. And we did, many, many pieces of music like that. And, it became really a life-changing experience for all of us. We paid everybody a small honorarium, and most people just donated it back to the festival. And that was already 10 years ago, and I still keep in touch with the kids who attended that festival. Actually, one of them lived with us for a year in Missouri, where my wife teaches. So it was really a life-changing event, and I really hope I can do it again, actually, because it really changed my life.
Wow, this is so inspiring all you're saying, and since then that music festival grew and became very important, and congratulations really for doing that. So the word, I would say, accident, that you mentioned about that music festival is, I think, a word that is very close to you. Of course, we wish you no accidents at all, but I know that you enroll at Harvard, where you study physics, after accidentally breaking your index finger. So,
Yes,
there are some
yes.
good accidents sometimes that that happen in your life. And now you became, in 2016, you were elected to become the chief conductor of the Mexico City Philharmonic Orchestra. So Mexico is definitely on my bucket list to go to visit. If I go, I definitely go and listen to you
Let
guys.
me know when you're there. I'll give you a tour.
Oh, that would be so wonderful. So my question is, you are used as before we start to talk, of course, about this wonderful TV series that you're doing with PBS, absolutely phenomenal. Before we talk about that, one question for you, my dear Scott. You are a violinist. Violin is a very important part of an orchestra. You are a conductor. And you conducted many, many important orchestra. Um, is it the orchestra that creates the sound, or is it really the conductor who brings his own DNA to the orchestra? How does it work?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I would say that the conductor shows the orchestra how good they are.
Wow.
The
Wow.
conductor allows the orchestra to be 100% of themselves, not 80%, not 70%, but 100% of themselves. That's the job, is to allow them to be good and to stay out of their way.
Wow. And
Not
I
easy to do,
feel
though.
also you're kind of the, yeah, no, no,
Not
no.
easy.
That's really amazing. And I feel you're also the quality control, is that every time I see your name, I know, the quality would be beyond what is imaginable. So really, congratulations. So now we are going to talk about this wonderful, wonderful TV series. So I'm going to sound lazy, but I promise you I'm not. Tell me, what is the TV series called Now Hear This, that is celebrating their third season? Congratulations. And first of all, what can we see in that TV series, and how that whole idea came together?
So Now Hear This is a television show about art music, about classical music. And uh, when we started it, we just really had one goal, which was to make sure that everybody listens to a little bit of classical music. Um, we're not saying don't listen to rock music or don't listen to jazz. No, continue to listen to all of that music. Just add a little bit of classical music. That's what we argue. And you know, we thought that it would be important, if you're going to do a show about classical music, to get people interested who maybe are not interested in classical music at all, but maybe they're interested in history, or maybe they're interested in cooking or wine, or they're interested in clothing, or they're interested in architecture, or they're interested, we want to give people many ways into the art form. And, we feel that this music is a little intimidating for people, because we're almost taught, this music, it's great, but it's not for you. It's for somebody older. It's for somebody who is smarter than you or has played an instrument. Those are all complete nonsense. This music is for everybody. It was written by very smart people, but you can be a rocket scientist and enjoy it, and you can be a taxi driver and enjoy it. You can be a musician and enjoy it. You can be a non-musician and enjoy it. And, you know, we base the show very heavily around the work of Anthony Bourdain, who was a wonderful chef. And he really sort of invented this category of television, which is culture and food, travel and food, stories and food. We just replace the food with music.
This is such a good speech. You know, this is so clear. So of course I invite everyone to go to watch it, and big shout out to PBS for always you know, making culture affordable and easily readable to everyone. I mean, whether it's for classical music or for opera, I mean, they're really amazing. So PBS, congrats, really. And congrats to you, Scott, because you are doing this wonderful thing. So before we start to say goodbye to each other, tell me something. First of all, I'm sorry to you, Scott, and to my dear friend Max Horowitz from Crossover Media, because I say they told me 10 minutes and you know, it's almost half an hour, so I'm I'm terrible, you know, I'm terrible, but you know,
It's a
a
pleasure.
French Moroccan Jew, you always need to time it by 3, you know, at least, you know. So so what is going on in your mind when you are conducting? What are you thinking about? Do you visualize the score? Do you try to make it entertaining for the audience also? Because, you know, for people who didn't realize, you give your back to the audience. So what's going on in your mind when you're conducting? What are you trying to achieve? And does it happen that sometimes as a conductor you can fail, you cannot make it in one night, or you have a bad night? What is success, a bad night for a conductor also?
Wow, that's a great question. A fantastic question. We fail all the time, or at least I fail all the time. That's very common. Um, you do something that throws the orchestra off. They are confused, or you didn't do the right thing, or you know, maybe somebody slows down and you push the orchestra forward too fast, and then things become very turbulent, like an airplane in a thunderstorm. You know, many things can happen. You know, your job, I think, first and foremost, is to not interfere with what the composer wanted. They are masters. You know, Schumann knew exactly what he was doing. Brahms knew exactly what he was doing. Mozart knew exactly what he was doing. They're geniuses. So you just stay out of their way, and you make sure that what they wanted happens. And you know, I think that when you present the music to the orchestra in a very elegant way, in a very clear way, with a good concept behind it, the orchestra can say, "Okay, we see where he's going. Okay, we can do this. We can work with this," and then, you know, things can go very well. But you know, maybe if you don't know the score well enough, and you don't know exactly what the composer wanted, then you don't know exactly what you want either. And then the orchestra says, "Huh, what's going on? We don't know what's going on. We this is difficult. We're gonna do it our own way." And of course, everybody has their own way of doing things, and then things kind of get difficult. So I would say that the conductor can't make things better, but the conductor can make things much worse. And our job is to allow the orchestra to be at its best. It's hard.
Wow. Well, you're doing a fantastic job. Very quickly, one, if you have, let's say, a violinist or musician who wants to audition for you, who wants to play for you, who wants to exist, you know, in front of you, one advice and one not advice, you know, like one of your pet peeves, like, please do never do that at an audition.
Sure.
Please, I beg you. What would it be?
Sure. Yeah, that's an excellent question also. Uh, I would say that people sometimes feel that, oh, well, I don't play very well in concerts. I don't play very well in auditions, but I play well at home. But I truly believe that people play the same.
So,
I
what
think
would
that,
be your I would say your do not do at
well,
an
I guess what
audition?
I'm saying is practice as well as you can.
Ah,
Practice as carefully and well as you can, because how you play when it really matters is simply a reflection of the quality of your practicing. And so if and I think that goes for many things in life. You can't if you bite your nails all the time. I think it's very hard not to bite your nails when you're in a job interview or when you're meeting your friend's parents. So just don't bite your nails. And especially with music, um, if you play, let's say, measure 320, if you can't play it well in the practice room, or you don't play it well, chances are you will not play it well in the concert either.
that's for
So you've got to
sure.
play measure 321 well at home, and then
Thousand
it will
percent.
be there for you in a concert.
1,000%. I'm thinking of something for as an opera singer. Sometimes if you don't have the high note, at home when you're alone, then don't think that being on stage with the stress, with the adrenaline, with the audience, with all the distraction, with all of that is gonna come out. So I always tend to do on concerts things that for sure I can do at home even on a bad day. So I think your advice is such a good advice. So my dear Scott, I'm so honored to have you today on the show. You're a phenomenal musician. You're what I call a cultural entrepreneur, which I really love. Is you love to create opportunities, you love to go out there, you love to knock doors, and you simply love to do music because music is about collaborations, and you understood all of that, and you're so proud of your wonderful heritage, and you bringing it out there. Your next mission that I would love you to do, I know you're going to hate me because I'm going to bring more things on your business calendar, is that you take some of these unknown music that nobody knows from Korea, from Japan, which is part of your heritage, and you bring it to the average Joe, to the regular, I would say, audience, and also these new composers, to give them also a place in your wonderful program. I cannot think of a better person than you to do it, really.
You got a deal as long as the next time we are shooting in Morocco, that
Oh
you come
yes.
and be with us and show us around and show
Oh
us
yeah,
what there
definitely.
is to
But
know. And
just make
we'll
sure.
start in Fez.
Oh yeah, please,
We'll
and
start in
make
Fez, and then
sure.
you'll take us around Morocco, and you tell us what's going on.
Anytime, brother. But
That would
just
be
be ready of one
fascinating.
thing, is that you will not leave Morocco. That's the only thing,
I
So
know.
be
Yeah,
ready to
I
move
heard it's.
there, and make sure you don't eat 1 month prior, because you're gonna eat a lot over there. We're gonna feed you a lot. You might not be able even to
Okay.
reach the conductor pit. It's gonna be good. My dear Scott, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Serero. I had the pleasure to have today over the phone this phenomenal American conductor and violinist, the chief conductor and artistic director of the Mexico City Philharmonic Orchestra. He hosts the PBS TV series Now Hear This, and I hope there will be some episodes in Morocco. And of course, why not in Paris also? We love this phenomenal God-given really angel. That's really who he is. Go to check him out. Of course, his name is Scott Yoo. Let me spell it for you. Scott. Yoo is spelled Yoo. A wonderful, wonderful person. And may I tell you something, Scott? Happy
Please.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. So happy birthday, because I know your birthday is April 25th, which is tomorrow. So happy birthday, Mazel Tov, congratulations. All the best to you. And please, 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 more of you, more of you, more of you, more of you. We love you. Right now, you know what? We're going to play some Scott Yoo recording right now. Stay tuned for more music on iHeartRadio. It is a beautiful day.